Welcome to the Christopher Jimenez Show. This will be episode number 20 of the show. Again, I thank you for listening, even though I only post very sporadically. I record this podcast with a heavy heart, as this has been one of the most hellacious weeks I can remember, actually one of the most hellacious weeks since September the 11th, when I was a sophomore in high school, going from my first period to my third period. We had a block scheduling there. It was a while ago, but I remember it very vividly. And I feel like I'm going to remember this week, and particularly one event that I'm going to talk about a little bit later this week, that happened this week. It's been a hellacious week, I say, because I've been affected by a few things that maybe most people would not have even heard about. The first thing was, while I was away on vacation, I got news that an author that I respect very much, his name is Brennan Manning, passed away or went to be with the Lord, and that was rough. And I decided that I would read his book again, the one that really affected me, The Ragamuffin Gospel. He was well known as a writer for grace, who leaned heavily on the grace of God, the grace that without which we wouldn't be able to respond to anything. God's love to us is immense, and it overfills us and overflows, and no matter what we do, no matter what heinous, despicable act we commit, whether it be hate against our brother or sister, or against strangers, or against anyone, or even hate in our minds, or hate on display, God always loves no matter what, and always has forgiveness, regardless of what we feel about ourselves. So that was the first thing that struck me, and maybe it didn't affect that many people, but I really felt a little tug in my heart for that. And then, of course, Monday was the day of tragedy and horror in Boston at the marathon finish line, where 2 bombs went off, and then the ensuing police and FBI case and chase. And then again, another tragedy, or not really a tragedy, but a fact of life. George Beverly Shea, man who was well known for singing, performing a rendition of "How Great Thou Art, O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made." He went on to be with the Lord, a great I guess a father of Christian music, of gospel music, really. A man that, everybody in the Christian circles would have, if not heard about, would have known some of his songs. He went on to be with the Lord. And then the very next day, I believe it was, a fertilizer plant blows up in West Texas, killing many people, and of course many people died. 3 people died in the Boston Marathon bombings as well. But what really struck me, and there were a lot of things that just kind of, it was overwhelming. First of all, the love within the running community. We participated in several, or in a Run for Boston event over in Brickell. It was a huge event. Just a solidarity, some real Twitter friends who checked up on me, and I checked up on them, and we strengthened our bond one with another. But really what struck me, looking back on the whole thing, was just the uniqueness of this sport of running. I recall watching the elite athletes running, and this was kind of towards the end of the race. I remember watching, and the elite men were running. And out from the crowd steps a young boy, he must have been in his teens, maybe in high school, in a gray hoodie, and he jumps out and he starts running with the elite men. And he didn't keep up for very long. He must have kept up for maybe 50 yards most, and just keeping pace. And these were men who were loping along at 5-minute mile or something ridiculous like that. And the announcers were like, oh, and here's this young boy. He's going to find out just how difficult this sport can be. And just as he finished saying that, the young boy lost his steam and decided to step out into the crowd again. And, just their reaction and the reaction of the runners who weren't shocked. They weren't thrown off at all. They were just, yeah, whatever, come on, run with us. That from an elite athlete in the sport is incredible. I mean, think about the times when, let's say in basketball, the NBA, if a fan stepped out on the court, what would happen? Well, it did happen recently. LeBron James, I believe it was in Cleveland, a couple trips back to Cleveland. Well, someone did run out on the court, and LeBron handled it very graciously, but you could bet that security was going to grab him and take him out. And it happened earlier this season also in soccer, where I believe a man stepped out on the field, in the pitch, and he ended up getting kicked by the soccer player, and the soccer player went through a lot of scrutiny for that, but he was kicked. And in each of these sports, if it happened in football, if it happened in soccer, basketball, baseball, you can bet that those people are going to get, if people streak in baseball all the time, that man's going to get tackled by security and taken off. I believe even, was it last season, someone got tased. Somebody pulled a taser out and shocked him. Not in the marathon. Not in the half marathon. Not in the 5K. You're going to run with them. It's an inclusive sport, even for the elite athletes. And I thought that was touching. And I remember thinking about it even then, the moment that it happened. But even now, especially now looking back at just what this running community is like in light of the terrorist attack. And, this is something that potentially we could be looking at now, runners being shocked, runners being thrown off, that boy being tackled as he tries to come in excitement, barricades being lifted that are, being raised that are not penetrable. These are things that we, might be seeing in the future. I don't know. That's a very pessimistic way to look at it, but, what the running community is, what it has been, what it could be. These are things that we're at a crossroads. What are we going to do? What are they, and I say we because I guess I'm part of it. I mean, I've been running for a year and a couple months now. Nobody's told me, no, I'm not a runner, so I guess I am a runner. But I'm rambling now, and I know it. So those are my thoughts on the Boston Marathon. Well, those weren't all my thoughts, but those are some of my thoughts on the Boston Marathon tragedy of this past week. I'm glad to have heard that the suspects were captured. Hopefully we can get some real answers coming on. I pray for those of you who are hurt by by the events that have gone on in Boston, by the events that have gone on in West Texas, or by personal tragedy that maybe have befallen you and may seem to you that the world doesn't care about your personal tragedy, that it's too small. Just know that nothing that you go through is too insignificant for my God of grace. My God of grace who shows His love and wants to show love. Please do not reject Him. Please do not reject love, because love is what we need in this time of darkness, really. With that, I want to leave you with a little hope, with a little love, with a little grace. May God bless you. Thank you for listening.